Well, we finally made it.
All right, Papi, I've been waiting to ask you this question since we started this opening question of this or that.
Oh, please.
Tequila or mezcal?
So, we'll get into the process later, but for me, like my go-to, the one bottle that I have my cabinet back there. I have some Greek stuff. I have the vodka back there. I have rum. I have everything, right? But the one bottle that goes down the most, in fact, is my mezcal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The mezcal goes down the fastest, and you want to take it?
I mean,
Yeah. So
I'm not going to say no.
We'll get it.
When somebody offers you something, you out of courtesy, you got to say,
So
I'll take a little.
yeah, that's one of the
little
displays,
taste.
and of course it's on top of the Ted Wayne book, arguably the greatest hitter of all time.
Just a taste. You can tell we're on a full summer mode.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not in your classroom, but
So this mezcal, like I started getting into when Anthony Bourdain did the Mexico episode. I think it's season 1 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually does a taste test with the guy. God, I forget his name. With the guy on top of the pyramid, on top of one of the freaking pyramids in Oaxaca, and they actually hit the stuff, and they say Stygia Bay, and I forget what the hell that means, but that doesn't matter because.
okay. All right. So you go mezcal.
Yeah, just
Okay.
a smug. Yeah, just. Yeah. It's like jet fuel at first. There it is. See the face.
Well, I'm more of a tequila.
So on that note,
On that note,
please.
let me light a candle for you.
Yeah, it's here. Like jet fuel, baby.
See that smokiness?
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about it.
Yeah.
I know some people are. They're crazy about that smoky flavor.
And we'll get into the like how you make it and stuff like that. But there's some people that, like my wife, whenever I smoke meat, she's like, I don't like that smoky flavor. So I understand that. So anyway.
Yeah. So, and there's a reason why there's a smokiness to it. But for me, I'm more of a tequila guy for a couple reasons. And this is we're gonna get into this bottle a little bit more in detail. But for me, it's more nostalgic. Just I grew up drinking tequila. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I can't say grow up like. I make it sound like I've been drinking tequila since I was
When we
3.
started
But yes,
So
but
yes, on the same note, when
at,
you
at the
growing
age
up,
of
go ahead.
at the age of what was it? Whatever. Tequila is what we drink in my family, my Lopez side especially. And you know, it reminds me a lot of my grandparents and being around my uncles, mis tíos, mis
Yeah,
tías.
so you're pitching that one. You
And
keep
this-
on mentioning the one, the Centenario
Yeah.
bottle.
So this is one
And I
that-
never had it before until
yeah.
you brought it over.
And this is a cheap bottle,
Yeah,
and it's good.
yeah.
So this goes to show you don't have to spend $100, $200 on a bottle of tequila for it to be
Yeah.
quality.
So-
And we've talked a lot about this in depth. But for me, mezcal or tequila, I have to say
Now-
tequila. Now, what's the difference?
Here's the one that you brought from Mexico. This one's 35% alcohol. Now, what's fun about this, you cannot label something in the United States as liquor unless it's 40%. So that if you get in Mexico, you'll find this at 35%. And I mean, and
Now notice,
this
USA?
Yeah,
Hold on. USA?
yeah.
Mexico. Not only does this have more...
It's a little darker on my trip.
No. Look at the size.
Oh, okay. Isn't that 750?
This is 950. This is almost a liter. So you get more in Mexico, but there's less alcohol.
Standard 750 being the standard. Yeah.
Yeah, so because your alcohol content is higher here because of what you just said.
Yeah.
But what are the major differences? And today, what we want to really get into, and we've been talking about this for basically a year. Like, hey, we should do a tequila episode and talk about what's the difference between tequila and mezcal, and then a little bit about the history about it, and plus, and it kind of worked out that we waited because I had a chance to go on this trip to Guadalajara, then to Tequila, Jalisco, and take a tour of the Fortaleza distillery, which we're going to get into that as well.
Now this is just, by the way, part 1.
Part one,
of a two-part tequila episode, right?
So part one, history, differences,
and how to drink it.
And how to drink it. And also why you should not spend your money on celebrity tequila. I don't want to trigger you yet, but we're going to get into that.
My wife says it. Well, look at the George Clooney commercial, and she knows. She only says it because she knows it'll trigger me. Yeah, and that's
It's funny you say that because on this tour I went, they mentioned George Clooney in Casamigos, which is now like sponsoring the MLB, NBA,
all over the NBA,
it's all over.
everywhere.
It's mainstream, right?
Everywhere.
And honestly, I bought a bottle before I knew any better, and it's okay. It's nothing. This is better and way cheaper. Way better and way cheaper. So, what are some of the differences? So, let's get into some of the differences. So, when you talk about mezcal, you talk about tequila. One thing that you often might hear when you get into it is that all tequilas are mezcal,
but
not all mezcals are tequila. And why is that? When it partly goes to the type of agave. So, we have the agave, the plant itself.
And there's 200 different types.
There's over 200 different species of agave.
But
in order for it to be tequila, it has to be a very specific type. And it's that blue Weber agave.
Blue Weber agave. Yeah.
So all tequilas, in order for it to be a tequila, it must be at least 51% blue Weber agave. At least. Now for mezcal, there can be over 30 plus different types, not to that one specific species.
And beyond that, well, so what you'll get at home is the big smoky flavor, and then that's a part of the process that'll separate the two. It's almost like, all right, do you want to bake your turkey in an oven, so to speak, or do you want to put it in the smoker for so many hours? And so you're going to get that. You just smell the bottle. And so tequila will have they're both made from the agave plant.
But it's the process where you're talking about the smokiness.
Smoke versus
the smokiness
steaming.
is partly because when they make mezcal, it's cooked underground, right? It's cooked underground with these pits that are lined with lava rocks, and they're filled with wood and charcoal before it goes into the distillation process.
Yeah.
So it's underground, and that's where you get that smokiness, right? I'm not really crazy about it, but that's the distinct difference between tequila and mezcal.
Most people will prefer tequila over mezcal.
Tequila is cooked in ovens.
Mezcal, you'll
Not
find more.
underground.
You'll definitely find more like mixed drink stuff like that because of that smokiness. Like you go to certain restaurants in Mex and hey, let me get
And then the other part is where it's made. So when you look at the map of Mexico, I think you had it on here somewhere. In order for it to be tequila, and this is why tequila is very special as well, because it has to be specifically, and I'm glad you pulled up the map behind us. It has to be specifically from these Appalachian states.
Really?
The most popular one, obviously, if you can see, is Jalisco, right? That's the most popular one.
Well, of course.
And so, and that's kind of shows it's right in here. But anyways, so there's 5 distinct states that is where the CRT, right? It's basically the regulatory council of tequila that allows tequila to be. If you make it outside of these states, it's not tequila. Kind of like champagne or cognac or whatever. It has to be very specific, and that's why tequila is even more special, because it has to be made within these states in a very specific region in Mexico in order for it to be labeled.
It is a super cool map because
Yeah.
it says, well, why is the number one so big? And you see it right here. It says 125 municipalities. Second place is 32 of 133.
So this is where you find tequila be made. Mezcal, kind of similar, but it's primarily in Oaxaca. But there's other places as well. Tequila is typically distilled in 2 or 3 copper pots. Mezcal is distilled in clay pots.
So it's like when you get in even to tobacco, the best tobacco in the world is known to be in Cuba, right? And so supposedly, I've heard this before, that's where the tobacco originated from. I forget where. I think I saw in some book somewhere. I'm not sure how factual it was, but well, that would make a lot of sense, right? So in turn, now we're talking about agave. So origination in Mexico.
Yeah.
So in Bourdain's words, this is really where the good shit grows.
Well, Bourdain was He knew what he was talking about.
Well,
right? So and so when you talk about the process and the way how it's made, that's why
I get the wrong. You see that?
yeah. That's why it's and we're gonna get into that in a moment.
Yeah.
Why it's typically tequila is a little bit more sweeter, a little bit more citrusy at times. You know,
you definitely get that more of the hit of the agave plant and that earthy flavor, and the bottom line is this stuff is everywhere. Like any bar, anywhere you go to in the freaking world, you will find tequila there.
Yeah, and so typically, you know, what you'll see is there's about 5 different types of tequila. You have your blancos, you have your jóvenes, or gold, sometimes they're called. You have your reposados, you have your añejo, and then you have your extra añejo. My favorite personally is the reposado because the reposado is aged in oak barrels, right? And so the one on the far right, you have your añejo. That one's ages a little longer than anything else, but all of them start off as blancos. All of them.
I've had that steel strength before.
Yeah, I had it. It's pretty
and
good.
that stuff.
I'm going to share it with you in a moment. We had a chance to do a taste testing as well, and we tried that one.
So in a nutshell, just keep it simple. Like, so we have the Fortaleza tequila here, and here's another classic bottle. I found this Lalo here at the local liquor store.
Shout out to my cousin Lalo.
That's right. A local liquor store called Pico Market, which they have kind of the best selection in El Centro. As far as liquor stores, we're including beverages and more and stuff like that. But when we get into blancos, how long does that take to age?
Well, blancos are bottled as soon as they're done distilling.
Boom.
Right away.
Pop it out.
And sometimes they might age it for a bit, but 2 months tops. But typically...
But after 2 months...
Then it's... Well, no. After 2 months, that's where the joven and the gold, you might have heard of like Jose Cuervo Gold. Mm-hmm. It's still a blanco, but it's a little bit... But
in general.
Minimum of 6 months,
yeah,
it's a reposado.
So now you see... So this is a Cascanes, which is also...
That's why you see that color, because it takes on the...
one. So if you could see...
Over here. Over here.
The camera's right here.
Okay.
The big difference is see, there's a clear one, but after you leave it sitting in the oak barrel, you see the color change, and with the color, the flavor will also change.
And it takes on the characteristics of the barrel.
Yeah.
So sometimes they'll import in Mexico. They'll import bottles from whiskey companies, right? Or sometimes like Fortaleza imports barrels from Hungary. Mm-hmm. That's right. So because their oak barrels have a very distinct flavor, and so that's why you get that color. And the longer it's aged in there, you know, the more it takes on.
And we Googled the Cascanes. So it was like, why is it? So there's a Cascanes number 7 bottle, and there's also a Cascanes number 9 bottle. Mm-hmm. And so we Googled that. So what's the difference? And it was like this one said number 7 months, but it's an American oak barrel. And the number 9 is 9 months, but it is a French barrel.
Yeah.
Which shows that even though, like all tequilas, all mezcals, they're all made in Mexico. But as far as the oak barrel and flavoring process, that's a whole other
thing. Fun fact.
Talk to me.
And kind of getting into the history, the original name that tequila had was Vino Mezcal de Tequila. That's one thing I learned. And so, because all tequilas are mezcals, right?
No, mezcals.
It later became just tequila because of the town of Tequila, right? Because Vino Mezcal de Tequila, that's where it became known as. So there's 2 major families in tequila. You have the Cuervo family and you have the Salsa family. Fortaleza is owned by the Salsa family, right? And I think he's like 4th or 5th generation. The current owner is 4th or 5th generation Salsa. His full name is Guillermo Erickson Salsa.
And that's why the original name was supposed to be...
Well, you still have the Salsa brand, right?
No, but the original name of... it wasn't supposed to be called Fortaleza. It was supposed to be called Los Abuelos.
Los Abuelos, yeah, because it's paying homage to the grandparents. And interesting thing I learned, and if you ever get a bottle of Fortaleza, if you look at the label itself, it's kind of paying homage to all of the previous grandfathers, all the way to the great grandfather, and the name of the distilleries that each one had. The current one is Fortaleza. The distillery before that is Perseverancia, and then you have Constancia. So those are the names of the distilleries, and then the initials of each of grandfather, the great grandfather, and the grandfather, and etc. So you have the bisabuelo,
a lot that goes into it.
tatarabuelo, abuelo. So that's what makes this bottle so interesting.
And there's even like a individual numbering. It looks like,
And so in the tour that I took, and we're gonna drop the link in the episode, you'll be able to see like the explanation of why this bottle is so special. So not only is it such a good quality tequila, but there's so much that goes into the process of the bottle itself, and there's so much history that goes into the bottle itself, and we'll kind of get into it. So this is the reposado bottle. I brought us here. This is what we're trying.
This is what we're actually sipping.
This is the añejo.
Yeah.
And so with the añejo, the label's different than the actual
Flip it
reposado.
around, and you'll be able to see the difference in color. I don't know
Yeah.
if you want to put it up to the camera. So this is the reposado, and that's the añejo.
But what I'm talking about here is the label.
Yeah.
There's history behind the label itself, and they really broke it down. You can see that each label here is different. The still strength, he's paying homage to his dogs, to his dog and his mom's dog. You have Choco and Sandy, and they talk about it. The Blanco, you have the distillery here. The Reposado, you have the Tajona, which you'll see in a minute, and then you have the fields where the agave plants are around in the añejo. So, like each bottle is it's literally a
Didn't even realize that.
yeah, it's a craft, right? Because even the top itself, the piña, it's everything is, there's such a painstaking labor that goes into everything. The bottle itself, the labeling, and the tops, it's pretty cool. It's pretty special.
Off topic, but not really. Have you ever heard of why they have the worm in the mezcal?
Isn't it to make sure there's enough alcohol in it, or?
So, I really don't know the fact, and I should have Googled it, whatever. But of course, I saw this on the Anthony Bourdain show. He was in Tijuana, and he's with a guy. He says during the Mexican-American War, it's just a fun thing. During the Mexican-American War, they needed to be able to distinguish which bottle is a tequila and which bottle is mezcal. So they started putting the worm in the mezcal.
That's what it was.
Then there's another. So is that a fact? I don't know. It's just
But it makes sense to distinguish.
And then there's the other thing. And this came out in the, I don't know if you're a fan of the George Lopez show. If you're a fan of the George Lopez show at home, there was an episode where he gets all tore up because I forgot what, and he ends up drinking the worm. Now, if you drink the worm, it's like a myth. Oh, you start hallucinating this and that. And I don't know about that because it's still a freaking worm, right? These aren't magic mushrooms or anything like that. But if you do get to the bottom of a bottle of mezcal, that jet fuel, baby, yeah, you might be seeing stuff. So that's a whole other thing. But anyways, back to it.
But it all comes back to the plant, and the agave itself is special because even you can even go back to the Olmecas and the Aztecs. You know? I mean, they were making pulque, different drink out of the agave.
I've never had pulque.
I've never had pulque, and I've heard different things about it, but that's one type. You have pulque, you have sotol, you have bacanora from Sonora.
I haven't had any. I've had the pulque, like this creamy stuff. Oh, really?
I should have brought some, and so I'll have you. It's kind of like mezcal. It's smoky. I'm not crazy about it, but in my family, if there's bacanora around, then it's a party.
Pulque I've had twice. It was a homemade remedy, but it's made by a Puerto Rican, which doesn't matter if you follow the recipe, right?
Yeah.
The second one was actually in this place, and it was like one of the restaurant, but like a house in Mexicali. But it was like a house, and you eat the I forgot what dish we were having there. It was on a Sunday specific dish, and they actually had beer, and they offered pulque. It was like, well, yeah, I'm gonna have a pulque.
Yeah.
And so I hit it, and it's just like this creamy. The alcohol kind of hits, and
it's a different process, but
Did I enjoy it? No. Would I do it again? Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Alcoholism, yeah.
But I mean, and so what I learned is that back in the day, they used to use the leaves of the tequila, not the heart of it, not the piña, right? And so eventually they learned that if you actually use the piña itself, then you get more out of it. And I guess it was when the Spaniards came over they introduced the distillation part of it. And that's where you started to get more of the modern day tequila, the modern day mezcal out of it. And that process began to become more popular.
Yeah.
And so eventually we have what we have today, but typically everything was mezcal first. And then, let's industrialize it, let's mass produce it, let's get all these ovens, and that's where we started to get more of the tequila.
Because I know that when they did, Bourdain did his episode in Mexico, he went into Oaxaca and went into Michoacan, and in every place he went into, he sat down to eat a meal, and they offered you a shot of mezcal. And I know I showed this in class, and I always tell the kids, hey, do you ever have a mom? Did anybody have a mom or a grandma? You walk in the house, and they'll offer you a shot of tequila or mezcal, and I think one kid in all 5 classes raised their hands, right?
We have to
talk
call,
about this,
we
right?
have to call un desempance after meals just to kind of digest.
And who has that mom?
You had that one.
Yeah, he's been over the house.
I love your mom. First thing is like, you want a shot? You want a drink? I'm like,
and I warned you, right? Like, dude, she's like the mom. You walk in,
oh yeah,
she'll offer you a drink right away. Yeah,
I love your that. Well, that's why I brought that bottle. So that bottle's for your mom.
Yeah. So I was drinking since I was of age.
Of course.
But my mom was the one that started introducing me. My grandfather, and he passed away now. He's from Jalisco. No, not Jalisco. He's from Zacatecas. But I guess after he passed away,
make his own.
my mom told me he knows how to make tequila. I was like, dude, now you tell me, right? And so I've never had a fascination for ever making tequila. But if he was live, I would have known this. I would have went and chased down the recipe. But anyways, I remember even with him, we'd be at parties.
Yeah.
And he's older age, right? And I knew he loved tequila. And then I would go around because my tia Leti. Hi Leti, sorry about to tell the story. So I knew Leti didn't want him drinking tequila anymore. He's in older age, whatever. So I go around, hey tata, si quieres un tequila, si quieres un tequila, and he's like, his eyes were looking around. ¿Dónde está la Leti? Oh, en la casa, tata. No, she's in the house. Like, okay, then. So I run and get the bottle. We go and we take a shot of tequila because you have to, right? Like, this is where we come from. But and you have your own. You talk about your nostalgia with Centenario. So
well, just in general with tequila.
Yeah. So there's hardly anybody that are really tequila people. But you and I.
Oh yeah.
And it's like
and that's where like, hey, let's take a shot. I'm like, you're supposed to enjoy it, right? You're supposed to enjoy it. And so that's why, like, typically, and I don't know how it started, but tequila has never been a drink where you're supposed to shoot it. But whatever, mainstream, business, whatever, market, the way you market, it's become a thing. It's like, because I don't ever see or hear people, let's go to the bar and let's take shots of, like, vodka. Or sometimes you take a shot of whiskey, but it's not supposed to be shot. Like, this is not supposed to be shot.
It's not supposed to be
You're supposed to enjoy it.
Did not know that.
And so, but what I wanted to kind of highlight is that as tequila became more modern day tequila, kind of like with champagne, cognac, in the 1970s, I want to say, the main heads of the tequila companies in Mexico decided we need to patent this. We need to basically make this part of our culture, our identity, and they made it to where in order, like, kind of like the CRT, right? The council, the Tequila Regulatory Council, they said in order for it to be considered tequila, it has to be made here and it has to be made in this process. And so, basically in the 1970s, tequila could only be labeled tequila if it was made there in those 4 or 5 states in that region, and that's really where tequila became a little bit more recognized as part of the Mexican identity. You know, talk about food, you talk about culture, like music.
Scotch is whiskey, but
you talk about mariachi, right? Or certain dishes, right? Food. Tequila is now part of that identity, and the tour guide really gave us a pretty good insight on as to how important that is, right? And so I want to show part of, like, my tour that I took. It was part of, like, my birthday trip, but I won't show the whole thing. If you want to see it, you can. We'll include a link for the whole tour, and it's like super informative. Our tour guide, she was freaking awesome, Kim. Shout out to Kim.
She's fun.
You were hilarious, but very informative,
Yeah.
and she did a great job. And so I do want to show a part of it, just because it's not only informative, but it gives you more of an appreciation as to what goes on. And so I do want to.
I'm going to show the clip. Go into the history of it. Maybe you
Well,
want to show the clip of
well-
how to taste it. And
Let's go into first
Part two.
the tajona, right? And so what we're going to see in the background here, I don't know if you can see it. We're going into the distillery, and just slightly, it's not right there. Okay, so we're going to go into the distillery, and you can see like the workers and everything. Am I seeing it? Okay. I think I don't know if I did this right, but
Great grandfather used to make it, so we're talking about a recipe of 150 years ago, right?
Okay.
So we're going to go inside. Remember, guys, they are still working. Every step they miss is a little less out in the market. So make sure we stick into the wall so they can walk and continue working. If you have questions or anything, let me know. Be careful where you step also, because there will be some tools. Sometimes there are pipes around, so you don't miss a step.
you can hear it.
yeah.
Okay. So as we walk in, you can see the vats. This is eventually where all the water that's
Be careful with
washing
the
the agave.
We can
That's
extend all the way here.
that's the agave. That's already been shredded, and it's been washed in the water. That water down there will eventually go into those big wooden vats where it's gonna ferment, and the starches turn into sugars. It's all like a complicated process that I'm not like an expert at.
Leave it to them.
But it's pretty cool to see them. They're at work and they're washing the agave, and
Alright,
you can
guys, so
see them.
this is the distillery. This is the only place where Tequila Fortaleza is made. We are currently working at full capacity, meaning we are having 3 shifts, morning, midday, overnight, 6 days a week. And still not enough for the high demand of our tequila.
Yeah.
Usually what happens here is once the agave is fully cooked, we're going to let it cool down for around 24 hours before we can start working with it. Oh look, there's some
Oh, this was one of my favorite parts right here. So she has like a piece of the piña that's already been cooked, and she tears it apart, and she starts to hand out pieces of it so we can taste it.
So this is the finished product from the ovens.
And when you chew it, you can get the sweetness of it. It's not alcohol yet, but you can taste the plant, and it's like surprisingly
Just
sweet.
chew and suck the juice out. Don't eat the fibers. See? Just chew it.
But I thought it was really cool to be like
Chew it,
right
suck the juice.
next to them, and they're washing it. What they're doing is,
Yes.
Oh, hey.
like, it's not gonna get you drunk yet.
What we're going to do
That's
is
because-
that we're going to take the agave once it's cooled off and put it through a desgarradora. That machine in the corner, desgarradora is basically a shredder. It will take an entire piña and make it into just
So
fibers.
she's gonna go into it a little bit more, but there's the last copper pots there. That's where eventually the liquids in the fermentation process get sent, and that's where it becomes tequila. And in there, it will be tequila blanco. And before they sent it out to these other barrels,
To a barrel, oak barrel that aged.
But she's explaining on it, and like it's really cool because you're like literally you're in the mix. You're right there. They're making tequila, and you're seeing the agave that's shredded being cleaned and washed. And as the water's rinsing the fibers, it's taking with them the starches and everything that eventually will become the sugars that will become alcohol in those huge wooden vats back there. And I had a chance to climb up and look down into it. I'll see if I can fast forward a little bit to where you can see where it's fermenting. But it's really cool because like we're literally there where Tequila Fortaleza is being made, right? We're in the mix. And so Kim there, she's funny, man. She tells a bunch of jokes and all that. But she later takes us out to the caves where we do the taste testing, right? And so she's explaining all that. It's really informative. We actually get to see where. So back here in the back, that's where there's the barrels of reposado, añejo, and blanco. Those big silver-looking drums there. Those are where they're kept for the time being. That's where it comes out, and then once it's ready to be bottled, they'll take them out of there, right? If it's blanco, they'll take it out of blanco. So these are some of the barrels. Some of these will be specifically for a reposado. Some of these will be specific to añejo, depending on how they're labeled.
How long they
will determine how long they stay in there. And so where they're staying there, it's like a dark room, and there's this huge tree on the front that provides a lot of shade, so that way it doesn't like warm up too much. So the shade provides this area with a lot of it shades it so it doesn't warm up as much.
By the way, there's a modern one called that with Cristalino.
Okay, so Cristalino, basically it's añejo, and they filter out the colors. They pass it through filters, so it's clear. So it looks like a blanco.
In other words,
but it's an añejo.
It's añejo, but you're taking out all the good stuff.
You're taking out the color
because you want to be classy.
I don't know. I don't know how they do it, but they filter out the colors.
Take out the color.
And it's an añejo that's clear.
Take out the flavor.
It still tastes like an añejo. It also depends on what kind.
For the politicians.
It's just another thing that they can market. Basically, it's like how can we make money? Hey, let's try this. Like, ooh,
so I heard the whole thing. So you're in a tequila purist, and so they don't market that, right?
No, they don't. They're as
you don't want to
traditional.
Because
this is why, and if once you've had it, and once you learn about Fortaleza, you gain a bigger appreciation for it because they're like traditionalists. They try to be as traditional as possible. That's why.
Dude, they haven't even raised the price.
They don't. So
and they did like the demand. The demand has just grown and grown. I remember the first time.
This is a cheap bottle.
Yeah.
But the reason why in certain places it's expensive is because whoever's selling it up, it's an upscale price.
Yeah.
This is like a $40-50 bottle.
Yeah.
Right. But in San Diego, I've seen it for like 70 to 80.
Yeah.
Because they raised the price. Because they know, hey, people want this.
Because I found it at a liquor store, and in the beginning, try this one. Okay, cool. And I tried it. I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And I kept it going back up, and then one day he didn't have any more. And then I was like, well, what's the shortage? And that's when I called you. It was up, and it's the Old Town Tequila store, right? Mm-hmm. And even the last time you went, the only one you could find is a Blanco. The last time you went, right?
Yeah.
They didn't have
reposado or añejo. They didn't have any of these.
And so, there's just... So,
there's a very limited supply.
Has outgrown
and they're not trying to, boom, they're making what they can make. And what we found out in this tour is that in 2025, they actually bought the land across the alleyway. It's not the street, it's like an alley. Where they've been growing more.
It's crazy because this area is just so small.
That's my buddy Richard. Shout out to Richard.
This area is so small. I remember telling you about El Tequileño.
It's across the street. Across the alley.
It's another pretty damn good tequila. And I don't know why I thought it was the same distillery, but he literally showed me a video. I don't know.
It's across the street. One. It's not the same company, but they're literally neighbors. Uh-huh. And so, but it was pretty cool because you see back here in the background, they're labeling the bottles, right? And there's something special about the labels as well.
No.
Behind the label. So, initially at the very beginning, and I won't go too much into this because they go into it in the video, but Fortaleza is actually Los Abuelos. In Mexico, they sell the bottle Tequila Los Abuelos. But because they started to sell it in the United States, there's already an alcohol labeled Los Abuelos. It's a rum.
Yeah.
So they can't sell it as.
I know they fought in court too, but they lost.
So, and what you'll learn is that, and they lost the court case because it's already patented, but behind every bottle of Fortaleza.
It's a way to soak it, right? How do you do? You soak it and you get the label off.
Well, I don't know.
And it'll say Los Abuelos.
But behind this label, they have actually engraved.
Right? Yeah, great.
They do a silk screening of Los Abuelos logo. So behind this label, you'll see it. If you take the sticker off, you'll see a silk screen.
That's not called Fortaleza. It's
Los Abuelos. So
Fortaleza.
before they put the stickers on here, you can see like it's a print. It says Los Abuelos behind everybody. And so we were there. We got to see them like put the stickers on, and they put the wrapper, the plastic wrapper, and they had a heat gun. And so everything is a process. After that, we saw how they made these the piña, the bottle tops. We saw how they paint. These are hand painted, and then they buffer them. Super unique. And then they glue the cork on there. It's crazy. So she's kind of going into.
You get the cascadas, and by the way, this cascada is very good stuff. $100 bottle, but still, like I told you, my mom had my Aunt Alma over, my Uncle Tony, my cousin Jordan, and another cousin over. I think it was Jacob, and they all like tasted around and stuff. I know they had cascadas, they had Fortaleza. They had Gritona, and I think they had another one, and they all rounded about to, no, we actually enjoy the Fortaleza the most, which is mind-blowing because it's one of the cheaper ones.
It's not an expensive bottle.
It's not.
But it's definitely one of the highest quality.
Yeah, so if you want to buy expensive bottles,
because they're not
you want a 1942,
free and all that.
You want a 1942 so you can be classy. You want this to be classy.
You're paying for the name. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to lie. I've had 1940 and it's good.
It's good.
But you don't need to pay that much.
No.
You don't.
You don't.
So, but anyways, so here she's going over they're making the piñas. They're making the molds. They have all the molds there. They heat them up and it becomes the piña. They paint them. It's a really cool process. But the part I want to show.
Yeah, like the detail for the cascadas thing.
Yeah.
The head, but it's nowhere near. Like the piña you find in the stores. And again, these are hard to find. But that piña on top is super unique.
Okay, so the part I do want to show, and this is, let me
do it again. I keep on doing it.
Let me rewind a little bit, so we went into this cave, right? They call it the man cave, where we actually got a chance to do a taste testing of the tequila. So we walk in and everything, and there's the 4 different types of tequila they have. They have the blanco, they have the blanco still strain, reposado, and añejo. But they taught us the proper way to actually drink this tequila. So we're walking through. There's bats in there. They tell us, hey, just a heads up.
That's funny.
There's bats.
It's
like, we can't get.
They're friendly bats.
They're friendly fruit bats. We can't guarantee that they are COVID free or rabies free. But I'm like, but it's free, right? It's like we're joking, whatever. But here she goes in to explain the proper way to drink tequila. This is how you're supposed to drink it. Here we go.
You should pour yourself some, by the way.
I'm gonna get some reposado.
Hey, hit it, please. Be able to taste the difference.
All right. Okay, so those are the 4 different bottles. They go into the history.
Tequila every time is to first we're going to give a kiss.
So much
we're going
darker.
to just wet our lips and the tip of our thumb.
So there it is. So what'd you say? Are you clearing it? Now he has the reposado on him. I saw the añejo on me.
Well, now this is a reposado, but she goes over the proper way to. This is how you're supposed to. Right.
Oh, so first off, I messed up. I keep on grabbing the bowl. If you watch if you keep on seeing the episode, I'm not supposed. Why am I not supposed to grab the bowl right here?
You're transferring your body heat to the glass, which will warm up your tequila.
So why am I not supposed to drink chilled tequila, which you were a fan of?
I am a fan, but if you have to chill or put your bottle of tequila in the freezer to enjoy it,
because it's absolute garbage.
Well. You shouldn't have to enjoy it. I don't know how you do this, but...
Oh, I messed up this one. Oh.
Well, okay. So this is the proper way. Will it show up?
Drinking your tequila every time is to first we're going to give a kiss. We're going to just wet our lips and the tip of our thumb. Once that's done, we're going to take a tiny sip, keep it in our mouths for 3 seconds, breathe in, we pass, and then we're going to breathe out. Right? So first a kiss, tip. That's what she said. And then a tiny sip. 10 seconds. Breathe in, pass, breathe
find out.
Now,
This is just to get your brain ready to assimilate what we want
so what
to
I was
do
doing,
today.
I was doing it with my mouth closed. But what you do with your mouth open, it's like you can feel it. You do it. Oh, I keep on grabbing the bulb again, like that. Un beso. Yeah.
And you're giving your brain a chance to, like, basically take on the flavor of what you're gonna have.
What do you do with your mouth open? It's totally different experience when my mouth's closed.
So
I don't know. She didn't mention that, but I'm guessing. I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, but then it's pretty cool because while we're here, they go into more about each bottle, the history of the labels, and if you actually, again, if you look at each, this is a reposados, this is an abuelos, or I'm sorry, añejo. The labels are different, but the labels on the top are the same, and it's paying homage to the previous owners, the family, right?
But by the way, most mixed drinks, if you ever get mixed drinks with tequila in them, normally, for the most part, you're going to get blancos in them.
Yeah.
So when you get to reposados, and especially the añejo, and you ask for them at the restaurants, you get them served in. Now these are champagne glasses, but you normally get them served in. What are they called?
I guess the name of the glasses are Rydell
They're just
glasses.
a little bit smaller, and you could go like this. And
Yeah. It's just basically so that you can take in the aromas of the tequila,
you can smell it.
and that way you're actually holding it properly.
Earthiness, sweetness. So you're not grabbing the bowl of it like a normal shot glass.
And then, like, she goes into a little bit of history about the owners or whatever, but she does, like, she's like, all right, chisme time for some chisme. Long story short, Casamigos visited Fortaleza, and they wanted them to make their tequila.
George Clooney.
George Clooney's brand, right? And he's like, basically telling them, we want you to make our tequila for us.
Yeah.
And the owner's like, peace out. I'm not making tequila for anybody but myself, so you guys can go. And so now they're supposedly not allowed to visit the premises anymore just because of the disrespect.
Like pictures are everywhere, so the employees know.
Yeah,
if they show up,
that's
right?
the disrespect.
She talked about it. Uh-huh.
So, but honestly, this tour was like, it was better than what I expected. It was super informative. Like there was like, it's hard to pick a favorite part. Like one of them definitely is like tasting the agave as you're watching the workers clean the fibers and everything. But I had a chance to, and again, I went with my cousin and two of my closest friends, Richard and Jose.
This is a celebrity part?
No, this is their take. So I asked them, and they didn't expect me to ask them, but I was like, and so here's let me show this large slide, because I was like, hey, don't take my word for it. Take others who have visited before. My cousin Adam had already seen had been on this tour before, and this was his second time.
The taste testing room, the cave, and feeling good.
Oh, yeah, it was feeling really good.
Finished.
Okay, so this is Jose.
The Fortaleza distillery. What you think?
Oh man, what can't I say? This place, super rich in history. Thanks, Adam. Super rich in history. I had no idea what goes into just producing a single bottle of tequila.
It's
like
crazy,
the
huh?
effort back, the effort, all the hands involved.
This tequila alone is super unique.
Yeah.
You know, I honestly, at the dogs at the beginning, that Blanco dog
Yeah,
barking at
that's
us
good.
and trying to bite us.
That's
I think
pretty
I
good.
want to adopt that little son again. But yeah, no, I would say that the second best thing for sure is the cave. The cave, the man cave that they have there, and then there's more education on the history of Fortaleza or Los Abuelos.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing.
All right, you talk too much. All right, let's go next. Thanks, Jose.
So
All right.
Richard came from Dallas. He's the
So what
next,
do you
next
think?
buddy here.
First timer.
Starters, the property is beautiful, and our tour guide Kim, super knowledgeable, and she was also very patient with all of the people that asked questions, and some of them were better than others, but we will dive.
There's some
What was
dumb
the favorite
questions
part
being
of the
asked.
Oh,
yeah.
Really just learning about the entire process and the amount of painstaking time that goes into each part of the process, including the labels, all the way to the cap, and of course the tequila. So
Oh, you gotta love that.
yeah,
You gotta love that. Yeah, I'm glad you made it out here with me. All the way from
I
Dallas,
would not have missed this.
All the way from
I would not have
Dallas,
missed
Texas.
this.
And then last but not least, we got my cousin Adam.
Again,
He's not a first
This
timer.
is his second
By the way,
time
my
on the
brother's
tour.
Salud.
Second time.
Amazing. Adam, what do you want? Second time around?
They say the third time's a charm, but the
I'm
second time, my God, wonderfully done. Kim, very, very knowledgeable, awesomely done.
Awesome for
I
that.
got like a lot more insight than last time. The property across the street, can't wait for 2025, our next trip.
Oh,
I'm
that's
going.
With
Gotta
the Four
go.
Horsemen.
yeah.
Emphasis on that going down.
It's going down.
But great job all the way around. Beautiful property, beautiful place. Just the type of tour speaks volumes to the type of tequila they make.
Yes.
Very intimate, very hands-on approach to everything.
Very
What's your favorite
traditional.
part of it?
My favorite part was, again, the cave, but also knowing that in 2025 they're going to expand and make more tequila. So,
All right, you heard it.
Fortaleza,
Boom.
beautifully
Yeah.
done, number one.
Fortaleza is where it's at. Here you go. Boom.
There it is.
So-
Four
so-
Horsemen.
It's hard to get, and I think part of it is they're emphasizing just the process. And I know that, like, if you go to a local liquor store, I mean, I was at Vaughn's today. You go to any liquor store, what are you gonna find at any liquor store? You're gonna find Patron and it cased up. You're gonna find 1942 Don Julio cased up. You're gonna find this cased up. We're missing something super important here, and that is additives.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So that's where
I mean, that's what separates. I mean, right here, you're gonna. I know Cascanes, Fortaleza, Lalo. I mean, there's a few. There's a bunch of other ones, non-additives.
So when you talk about celebrity tequilas,
But when you get into celebrity tequilas, additives.
that's what's happening is because what they're trying to do is they're just trying to pump out as much product as
So
possible.
the process is garbage.
Well, typically for a plant to be mature enough to be, to start the process,
For 5 years.
it's typically 7 to 8 years.
Okay.
But what you're finding is like with the Casamigos, the Terramanas, the 818s, all these celebrity tequilas, they're not going through that full process. So you're not getting the highest grade quality
Yeah.
from the plant.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, in order to make up for,
So
that,
yeah, how do
they're
you
adding
supplement?
chemicals, they're adding color, they're adding flavor to make up for that.
So we're talking 818 with the Kardashians. We're talking even with the Rock made one.
Terramana,
No, if you taste that one, that one's
the
more.
Lobo,
It tastes like sink water. So Lobos, it's so.
Casamigos. I mean,
And-
you can go on and on. They're,
They, all those people, all the celebrities, they have become successful in their own craft for props to them all, right? But when it comes to making tequila, they are really shortchanging the process, and that just blew me away. So if you look at my shelves, and now I've converted my mom since then, you're not going to find anything with additives on their shelves.
So I asked our tour guide Kim, and this is kind of, I guess this is where we can kind of end on why you should stay away from celebrity tequilas, right? And drink tequilas like Fortaleza or Lalo or Cascanes or whatever. And she goes into that and what makes Fortaleza special. So I asked her personally, and this is what she had to say.
With Kim, this is our tour guide for the day. So Kim, how long have you been working here for Fortaleza?
So I've been working here since November last year,
Okay.
so I'm fairly new, but I had a little bit more experience because I work somewhere else.
I love her
Okay.
shirt, by the way.
Yeah.
What is it about tequila that you like more than other spirits?
I think it's an authentic drink, and it's very like an identity for the Mexican culture. Like
Yes.
the first thing you think is about tequila and mariachi.
Yes.
That's another thing, and also because it doesn't give you a hangover if you know how to drink it.
Exactly. If you know how to drink it, no hangovers.
No hangovers, yeah.
Okay. And why should people drink Fortaleza and not these popular celebrity tequilas that we're starting to see more and more on the market?
So Fortaleza, the project of Fortaleza, as I know it, is to show the world how tequila is supposed to be made and how it's supposed to taste. Currently, the process it has been industrialized quite a lot, especially because a lot of celebrities are selling their own selling their own brands.
Just like
And
Americanized.
has changed a lot of the flavor of it, the tequila. So what Mr. Guillermo wanted to do is to show the world what is a true tequila and how is the process when you don't cut any corners.
Yes.
When you do every single step, even if it takes you extra time and you don't get as much tequila, but it will be a really good quality product.
So quality over quantity.
Exactly.
And that's why Fortaleza
Fortaleza will be a good option for you to
is the
start.
best.
Mhm.
Okay, well, thank you, Kim, and you heard it from her. Stay away from celebrity tequilas.
Yes,
and-
please, don't do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So there you go. You wanted. I mean, I remember my Mr. Fullerton, my government teacher in high school. Best hamburger to make is the one made at home. And why? Because you know how you made the meat. You got the bun, this and that. You go to McDonald's, and is it good? Yeah. Well, I mean, judging by whatever you want to judge. But what's going on is they're industrializing it, so they're cutting corners so they could put it in mass-produced stuff. So you're not getting the full flavor of what a hamburger is supposed to taste like. In the same turn, we got tequila.
Yeah. So they're about quality, not quantity.
Yeah, so don't screw yourself.
So if you want quality, then that's where you should go.
Okay, let's don't screw.
But if you're trying to impress, like, oh look, I got bottle service, I got bottles, Casamigos,
1942,
then I guess that's where you can go. But
By the way, there's something called Tequila Matchmaker that'll help you.
oh yeah,
Rate.
great app.
It's an app,
It's called Tequila Matchmaker.
and it'll help you rate all the different tequilas. And there's a number of people to follow. There's things that aren't on our shelves right here, like say G4.
G4.
Before
Arete.
excellent stuff. Arete.
Lago.
I just ran out of the other one. It's one of my favorite Blanco. Tequileño.
Tequileño.
Tesoro.
Tesoro.
When I got some Reposado, excellent stuff, and these are just a few brands that
Centenario.
are not yet non-additive
Don Julio,
brands.
and personally, one of my all-time favorites is Don Julio Reposado.
That's what I always used to drink before
Yeah.
I realized there's
Yeah.
all these additive stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
now.
anyway, that's what it is. What's the best thing you've seen all week? That's where we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I can't wait till we get a couple of our boys in the studio.
Well, before we get to best thing we've seen all week, our next, I guess, part two.
Part two.
We're gonna do a blind taste testing of a variety of different tequilas. We'll share some stories, and then pick which one we like the most.
Yeah, well, we have some good brands. We'll have some garbage brands.
Yeah.
And it's really going to test not only our own ability to identify, but also our colleagues.
Do you have the hiccups already?
It already kicked in. But will I have a hangover?
You already got the hiccups. Anyway, so with that being said, best thing we've seen all week. We're on summer vacation. We've been summer vacay for a couple weeks already. What's the best thing you've seen all week?
Best thing I've seen all week is, Padres Day did again. So Tuesday night, I went out with my wife's group, and we partied. And after the game, once again, I lost my credit card. So that is absolutely
The sign of a
best
bad time.
thing.
You lost your credit card.
Yeah. Now it's no, but God, it was fun.
Good times.
It was fun. Was I drinking tequila? Oh yeah.
Good times.
So go for it.
All right. Best thing I've seen all week was actually, I saw it this morning. It was a notification basically saying, reminding me that next week I'll be out of town. Well, not just out of town. I'm going out of the country. I'm going to Colombia for a couple weeks. I'm going to a wedding and visiting my
A wedding?
my sister-in-law. And
What
her
city?
I'm going to Bogota. The main city is Bogota and Medellin, but in between
In English, Bogota.
Bogota
Oh,
and,
anyways.
and Medellin, and then like Armenia and some surrounding parts. I'm going for a couple weeks, and so I got reminded this morning, hey, you got a trip coming up. So I'm like, best thing I've seen all week.
So Bogota is the capital, and that's more than mountains,
Bogota.
stuff like that.
Yeah, it's mountains, it's high elevation. It's kind of cold there right now.
Medellin is more famous because Pablo Escobar.
That's what they say.
But there's a whole neighborhood that he built, and they don't actually police it at all, and they don't actually provide any tax services to that neighborhood.
I'll have to go find out.
Yeah, no, I promise. Yeah, I have to go. I'll send you this video clip.
Okay.
It's actually pretty cool. Definitely something to Why? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
my sister-in-law and her cousins, they're best tour guides.
There, thank you.
And
You're not an amateur traveler.
No.
I have my own things in my head.
They have
and I know
like
you have
things
your
to
own.
do. We're going to concerts.
And
We're
I'll be
going
looking
to,
forward to hear about this.
we're
stuff.
going to like some like intimate presentations.
And you know where you're not going?
Huh?
The freaking Applebee's. That's where he's not
I'm
going.
not going to Applebee's.
Because when in Rome, you do as the Romans do.
No. I will say that I can't wait. The one thing I'm looking forward to is this place called Andres Carne de Res.
Uh-huh.
If you've never heard of it, Google Andres Carne de Res. It's an I've been there one time last time I visited. It's a party. It's a restaurant bar, but it's an amazing place. It's a unique place, one of a kind. Andres Carne de Res. I'm looking forward to that. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. That's where we're going. And
This añejo is special, by the way.
oh,
Thank you for sharing.
I just
appreciate it.
uncorked it
Uh-huh.
for us today. So, on that note, salud to another episode, and looking forward to seeing you guys next time. Boom.